Good morning, Facebook family and YouTube subscribers. Today is Sunday. Yes, it's a Sunday, November 3rd, 2013. And it's a beautiful Sunday morning. Last night I was at a party and I met a 20-year-old kid at this party, 20 years of age. I'm 43. I'm old enough to be this man's daddy. And this man stood there and said some things about African American men that shocked me. He's never had a man, father, uncle. He's never had a male figure in his life that did anything of any importance, job, income. He came from a family of all women. He doesn't know who his father is, or he may have met his father very early in life. His mother had several children by several different men. None of the fathers are present in his brothers or sisters' lives. This man was a very feminine, acting 20-year-old kid, and he had a lot of questions that he wanted to ask me because he looked at my appearance. And I was at a party, a gay function. He came to me and said, "I don't think you're gay." And I said, "Well, yeah, I am gay." He said, "Well, I've never met a gay guy who looks or acts like you. You're very masculine." And as I started to question him about his background, and I don't want to turn anybody off of this conversation. Let me state this now, because I have a lot of friends who are very feminine, a lot of men who are embracing the feminine side. But I grew up in a household where my father was present. And my father, although he knew I was gay, would not allow me to carry myself and have certain mannerisms that were very feminine. It was not allowed. I'm not saying that that's a positive thing or a negative thing, but as I grew up, I wanted to emulate my father and my uncles and my older cousins, the men in my family. I looked up to them. I wanted to be like them. I wanted to look like them. My father was a big guy before he got sick. I've always admired my dad because he went to work and provided for his family. And he worked hard for years. When I was talking to this 20-year-old kid, the negative stuff that he stated about men reinforced my opinions that Black America will be doomed forever if we don't get black men back into these households being father figures for their children. And I don't know how we're going to turn this around. How can we get black men to be fathers to the children that they are helping to create? Where was this man's father? This man was standing in front of me. And again, I don't want to turn anybody off. But he's 20 years of age. He was wearing women's clothing. He's very feminine acting. And I can tell that he was drawn to me, because I guess maybe he was attracted to me or something. I don't really know. We never got that far into the conversation. And I asked him some questions like, why are you wearing the clothes that you're wearing? Do you enjoy wearing women's clothing? You know what he told me? Those were his mother's clothes he was wearing. Those were his mother's clothes. He said he's always went into his mother's closet and wore her clothes. And I remember being a kid, going into my father's closet and playing with his clothes and wearing his hunting gear and shirts. And he had all this stuff that he went hunting. And I would always play in that stuff. Now, I can still remember the odor of gas and other fumes from this hunting gear that my father had, hunting clothing that he wore to go hunting. I always admired my father, and I really wanted to be like my dad. And this man admired his mother and wanted to emulate her and be his mom. So I listened to this, and again, I'm not trying to offend anyone. This is just my observations and my opinion, but I'm pretty sure I'm pretty right about this one. When you have African American women seen as the breadwinner of the family and the support of the family, this man only knew his mom and aunts. He didn't have anything positive to say about a black male figure because he never had anyone in his family. None of these women were married. There were no fathers to be found. His cousins were, because at this party I was at, this was his cousin, older cousin. That was the only male figure he knew, was his cousin, who was maybe, I think he's close to my age. That they had now just become really getting to know each other. But he didn't have a father or uncles or any. If we continue down this path, Black America will stay doomed forever. We must have fathers in the households with these kids. Not just for male children, but for female children too. When all they see is their mom struggling, and it's a struggle for single mothers, we must admit. It's not an easy road for someone to raise a child alone. It's just me over here right now and 2 Cocker Spaniels. I don't even have any kids. I can imagine the difficulty. I know what the difficulties are because I have family members who are raising children alone. And they're going through straight up hell. Trying to discipline these kids, especially the male children, is just I'll never forget my mother and father divorced when I was a teenager. And it was the first time in my life that we encountered poverty because my father was no longer there. And my mother made some decisions that, in retrospect, even she will admit today, were not best for the family, mainly divorcing my father. My father moved to Mississippi and continued having a pretty decent life. He was sick for most of his very ill, worked at the steel mill. He suffered some illnesses that were related to his job. But he built a new home and started a new life with a new wife in Mississippi. Now, my mother became the father, so to speak. Or well, let me do like she told me and my brother, we took the place of daddy because he was no longer there. And we had to work and provide, get jobs, and do what we could do. I remember working a job, and the first paycheck, I didn't see one dime of it. Which, in retrospect, I was angry about it, but then I realized what my mother was doing back then. She was about survival. Had my mother stayed married, the situation would have been different. But she chose Jesus over her husband. But that's another video. Actually, I did a video on that where my mother discusses how some of you all should look at that video. But today we're discussing that little kid left an impression on me. And I'm at this party and I'm talking to him and he's admiring me and he's never ever, and it just brought back memories of me admiring my father. Me wanting to be like my father. Even though I knew I was gay. I knew I was gay at a very young age. But I knew I did not want to carry myself in a feminine way. I knew I did not want to wear women's clothing. I knew I enjoyed playing sports and doing masculine things because that's what I was drawn to. Things that my father did. But this man was very drawn to the things that his mother did because that's all he knew was his mothers and aunts. He was standing there wearing women's clothing. He could be a very handsome child. He was not a bad-looking kid. He's only 20. But I noticed it was women's clothing, and I'm thinking they're very form-fitting. I knew it was women's clothing. And then he told me it was his mother's clothes. I'm not sure I'm not sure how to respond to a mother allowing her son to wear her son's clothes. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. I don't know. I don't have any kids. However, I think, and again, I'm not drawing judgment, I think I would kind of have a problem with my son wearing his mother's clothes. But I don't know because I'm not in that position. And I don't want, because I know some people can get very offended so easy, I'm not trying to offend anybody. But we have to be honest here. Without fathers in these homes, we've created a problem in the black community about what is considered masculine. Why do you think so many of these young men are grabbing guns and shooting and killing everybody? Because they don't know no other way to defend themselves. They don't know any other way but to get a gun and shoot and kill somebody. They didn't learn like my father taught me how to defend myself without having to pick up a weapon. And I learned that at a very early age. How to carry yourself so a man will respect you so you don't have to get into a conflict with somebody or have to get into it. I can go wherever I want to. And I don't get into no fights and arguments with people. It's crazy. Insane. Because I carry myself in a respectful manner as a man. I think most of my straight friends will say the same thing. They carry themselves in a way so they don't have to have these issues when they go out in public, where they feel the need to grab a gun and shoot somebody. Something's fundamentally going wrong when the only way you can resolve a conflict, the only way you know how to resolve a conflict is to pick up a gun or a weapon. This is a direct result of African American raising children alone. Research it. Don't just take my word on it. Research it. There's a ton of information about single mothers, and particularly African American mothers, raising children alone and the outcome. How violent these children are. If we continue down this path without African American men being fathers to their children in the home on a daily basis, we're doomed. The family unit is destroyed. These children are helpless and hopeless. Now I know a lot of you are going to be very angry because you grew up in homes where your mother raised you. She probably did an excellent job of raising you. But we have to be honest, not every mother is capable of raising children alone by themselves. It's a struggle today. And it's more so a struggle in 2013 than it was in 1970s or the 1980s. It's just tough. It's rough out here. I can imagine being a single parent today trying to raise 3, 4, 5 children and have no support, no husband, no child support, no husband, just you working a job trying to survive to take care of these kids. That's got to be a rough, difficult road, a journey that I wouldn't want to take. When I look at these young women and they're running around here with all these little babies, I think, my God, what have they set themselves up for? Failure. And those kids are going to have a very tough time trying to survive. Until African Americans get back to getting married, understanding the importance of having a father and a mother in one household. And I have to tell you, when I grew up, all my uncles and aunts were married. I can't think of any family member, and not offhand, that any of my cousins were being raised solely by their mothers. Their fathers were there until, on my mother's side of the family, all those women got divorced. Independent black women. Disaster. However, on my father's side, my uncles and aunts are still married even today. In fact, one of my uncles and aunts, a couple of them have celebrated over 50 years of marriage. My mother's side, not so. All those women are single now. Been single for a long time. Independent black women. They didn't need a husband. But anyway, I just thought this video was, I did this video because I keep thinking about that young man standing there in those women's clothing, how he embraced his mother. That's all he knew. That's all he knew was his mom, and he wanted to be like her. He wanted to be like his mother, right down to the clothes that she was wearing. And he was wearing them at the party last night. But anyway, If you guys like my videos, please click like. Please subscribe to me and give me your feedback on what do you think about the lack of African American fathers in these homes today, and what can be done to turn this tide around, if anything. And has it caused a lot of serious problems? I think it has. And I don't think I'm the only person who feels this way. There's too much evidence that points out that fathers need to be in these homes. 73% of African American women are raising children alone with no husband. And that's not a good thing. Anyway, go out and enjoy your Sunday. Give me some feedback on today's video. And I'm out of here. I think I'm going to try to go. I want to go jogging at Piedmont Park, all right, on a Sunday. I would like to, though. I'm going to give it a try. You guys enjoy your Sunday. I'm out of here. Don't forget to click like and subscribe. Have a great day. Thanks.